Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Shahab Karni from the television studio of I-95 TV from Washington. On the flyer, the promo, as you can see, the topic for this morning's conversation is Pakistan and US economic collaboration and the emerging Chinese market share. I'm sure the viewers, the listeners, they know the trends right now in the geopolitical situation, especially in that region of South Asia when I talk about Pakistan or American or Chinese collaborations and going forward on that topic. So I was blessed and lucky to have somebody who is based in Dubai. Dubai in United Arab Emirates is an international market for trade and commerce, and people from all over the world, especially in commerce and trade, in corporate sector, they live, they meet, they exchange ideas about the regional economic trends. So today, this morning, I have Mr. Danish Kazi, who is an international business analyst based in Dubai, joining me for this conversation. Good morning, Danish. How are you today?
Good morning, Shahbhai. How are you doing?
I am good. Everything all right in Dubai, right?
Yeah, we are still enjoying the last leg of the winter and
All right.
hope it stays as long as possible.
All right. Thank you, Danish, for joining me in a short notice. So, when I say and when I showed it to my viewers, the American Pakistan collaboration and also the corporate sector in China is emerging into that region and especially in Pakistan. What you have to say, that well, when it comes to the preference for collaboration between, let's talk about first America and Pakistan, because you are from Pakistan, you have been serving in the corporate sector for years. Now you're based in Dubai. What do you think and what do you say the future lies? Go ahead, Danish.
See, due to the strategic political developments which is happening, and we can see that the clear uh, 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 exercise for power between two big nations in the world, I would say, the two clear blocks, which is one China and one the US. Pakistan presents a very strategic role for this relationship with Americans, of course, because we present a very geostrategic location for in the region, mainly because of the uh, ports we present to the region. At the same time, I see a lot of potential where there's a lot of work needed to kind of rebuild the relationship between Pakistan and US, which is hardly needed and badly needed at this point in time. And at the same time, there are needs which Pakistan has, which only Americans can fulfill as well. And at the same time, Pakistan has a role to play still, where Americans or US can use and benefit from that as well. I still think there's a lot that nations can collaborate between themselves, knowing that the war in Afghanistan has ended. But still, I think the threat is not ended. And there's a bigger problem emerging where we are seeing the conflict expanding with China flexing its muscles, Russia flexing its muscles. India is in a gray area, as I would say always. So, yes, Pakistan still has an important role. And it's very important that America and Pakistan work together to create that confidence between themselves, which has probably been lost the last couple of years, to rebuild the relationship and kind of work together with each other in the interest of both nations.
Thank you. Now, Danish, in the past some years, I'll say 20 plus years, we see Pakistan and American collaboration. But in terms when Afghanistan situation or the Russian war between Afghanistan and then 9/11 happened. So mostly the collaboration between these two countries, America and Pakistan, was war related or defense related expenditure item or collaboration or replenishment of the funds, thing like that. So now we are at a different age, different time zone. What do you think going forward, rather than spending the dollars from America with Pakistan into that region for military industrial complex or empire, rather than doing that, the collaboration going forward should be on human development, trade, and commerce? What do you think about that?
It's very true. As I would see that last many decades, Pakistan's relationship or vice versa has been very transactional. It's only that when you need each other, suddenly, basically, what would happen is that you will see US coming in bailing out. The most unfortunate part has been that most of the money which used to come from US would go on defense purpose needs, right? And it's not that it was just coming at with zero cost. The money was coming in Pakistan, it was going out as well. Means whilst we were getting money from US on fighting the war against terror, but at the same time, the collateral damage we were incurring was much higher. Now, what has happened is that has caused a big disparity in the country's economy right now. Because let's, for example, assume that US would have given us 20 to 30 billion dollars during the war against terror, but the collateral damage would have been more than $100 billion at the same time. So it's very important that this relationship, though transactional, can become strategic, where US should look into investing in Pakistan beyond defense purpose needs, beyond selling us weapons, beyond selling us or giving us money only to kind of rent the guns which we have in Pakistan. I think it would be good that if the money comes in into health sector, education sector, business sector, that investment is not visible in the last couple of decades. Whilst on the contrary, I am seeing as a Pakistani that the US governments are investing heavily in the India, and where we are seeing monies going into health sector, BPOs, technology sector, industrial sector. It is beyond defense. It's not that the US do not deal with India on defense purpose, but in Pakistan's case, it's only mostly defense purpose. The money which we see comes in aid, as in case where something has gone wrong, where there's an earthquake, and we're thankful to the American people for that, where there is a flood or something like that. But what happens is that even that is not enough, because you have already been destroyed, hit by such a catastrophe. The collateral damage is much higher, and the impact on the GDP is much higher than what the money we get in. And the damage we are carrying in the last couple of decades, especially at the cost of the war of terror, which is again raising its heads now. Is It's going to be much more required at the same time. It's not that there's the couple of billion of dollars which has come in on a specific need would help the person at the end. What the Americans should realize, that if the uh, poverty alleviation in Pakistan is not done, is not addressed, means health is not provided, education is not provided, jobs are not provided, these people can then turn out to be how do you say that, can be becoming a next problem as well. I would see that they may become the next Al Qaeda or ISIS or those kind of terrorist organizations. So at the same time, if you all remember that when the Americans exited Afghanistan, they forgot about the Afghanis at that time, and they didn't spend money on building infrastructure back in the 90s. And we saw what happened. We saw Taliban's coming up. We saw ISIS coming up. We saw Al Qaeda standing over there. SKIP was standing over there. And same situation is happening in Pakistan right now. And I know very well that these terrorist organizations has more money and they can recruit people easily. So, and Pakistanis as a diaspora are not restricted to a certain part of the world. They're spread all over the world. So I would say that there's a lot of opportunity to work together between both nations, where it should be beyond defense purpose needs. It should be beyond just cultural messages or tweets or visits. It should be hardcore investment in the health sector. It should be hardcore investment in the education sector, and jobs, creating jobs in Pakistan. That's what I would say is badly needed at this point in time.
Point very well taken, Danish. Now, let's come back to the ground reality in that region. Let's talk about China. My question to you, Danish, uh, how can Pakistan act or behave in a balancing act where the Chinese and American interest are colliding and Pakistan does not suffer? What is your take on that?
See, I have a theory on this, and I think Pakistan is a victim of a proxy war between China and US right now. It's a matter of control. For us, unfortunately, our dependency is a lot on China at this point in time, especially on defense purpose. Like, for example, we need those fighter jets, which we cannot get from the West, and can't frankly afford those kind of price tags as well. The J-10Cs we have bought in has been brought in to balance the Rafales, which been brought in by India, actually. You know that the contract on the F-16s are limited. They can't be used beyond a certain parameter. We know those missiles, those weapons, but when US and West, we have seen a couple of times since I've been growing up, there are sanctions and there are this and that, and you don't end up getting those weapons which you are requiring at the critical time. So you need an alternate supply, and China is strategically linked to us through Karakoram Highway, and has been a time-tested friend for Pakistan as well, no doubt about that. But at the same time, I see that Americans are not able to digest the fact that Pakistan has to balance between China and them. They want us to take clear positions. They say either you want to be with us or with the Chinese. But that's a little unfortunate because that's not the case when it comes to India, actually. And if you see, India is buying weapons from Russia at the same time. They have recently acquired S-400s. They have acquired other defense systems from Russia, and Americans never went back to the Indians and said, "Why you are just dealing with India, Russians? Why not with us only?" Whilst we know that Americans have a lot of money invested in India right now. Same goes with China as well, unfortunately. China also, I would say, though they are time-tested friend, but they also want us to take clear positions. But let me tell you just something interesting. I'm sure you're aware of that during CPAC, where Chinese were investing in Pakistan, some say the amount was $37 billion in terms of form cash, investment, and loans. At the same time, they have invested over $250 billion in India through steel infrastructure and some factories over there, and without a deal called CPAC. Knowing that they have their own personal strategic problems in India as well, and we know that the last couple of years, India and China has come very close to conflict in the Ladakh region. Similarly, China has invested much more money than they have invested in Pakistan in Iran, or intended to invest in Iran. So at the same time, uh, at the cost of our loyalty to China. Question is, are we getting enough back from that loyalty as well? That's something I always keep on asking because the money which was invested in Pakistan, and thanks to China, we need the money at the time, but it has come at a very high cost. Uh, uh, Most of the contracts on which the money was spent was given back to the Chinese contractors, and some of the loans which were given was such high interest rates which is actually burdening my economy right now. So these were facts which were highlighted many years ago when these packs were getting developed. But unfortunate part for Pakistan is that whoever you go to, they expect singular loyalty to each of them, which is not possible for me as a nation because for me China is as equally important as US at the same time or as Europe at the same time. And I sometimes wonder as a Pakistani why these expectations are with me in the first place, because perhaps my economy is not as strong as an Indian economy, that my dependency is as strong as dependent on on these countries, that they expect these extra measures from me. But I'm seeing the way things are going right now, the way things are developing in Russia, and you can see Russia and China getting closer. India keeping a neutral position. Iran, which is on the other side of my border. Imagine I have Iran on one side as a close ally to the bloc of Russia and China, and then I have India, who is also close ally of Russia but not China, which is as equally good. I have to take some tough decisions, and Americans have not been very lenient in that because if I tilt towards China, what could have happened is that they could have kind of given us some money or given us more money, what China was willing to invest, knowing that the money which we were acquiring from China was all the same reason that during the war against terror, we lost hundreds and billions of dollars and we need to fill the gap. And that money should have come from India, US, in fact. But that money we had to borrow from China. So I think that's where, as you would say, that I'm between a rock and a hard place right now as a nation, and I'm trying to survive in that. So that's my point on that, actually.
Very good, Danish. I'm so grateful. I mean, very thoughtful process of the ideas and the events. Thank you very much, Danish, that you were able to join. And I'm sure when it comes to America, Pakistan, and China, we will keep you engaged and inviting you quite frequently
Thank you.
because your input has a lot of value and you added to our conversation.
Thank you, sir.
Danish, thank you very much, and I'm so grateful, and we will stay in connect. All right.